Welcome to this month's President's Comments. In the course of life, we often struggle with many things, and some of it is so deep inside of us that we don't really let it out. And we would often like to think that Christians don't face these things, but to be honest, we all face these things. The AGC does have a whole program of pastoral care and resources available and funds available, and we have a number of places where we can send pastors to, but sometimes the most difficult thing is just to hear from our pastors and from their families. So our special guest today is Glenda DeVries, who's the pastor of Pastoral Care and Recovery at Compass Point Bible Church in Burlington, Ontario. And so we get to see you around the building, which is fun. And we talk once in a while about what you do, but today we have an opportunity to hear a lot about what you do and what you can help us to explore in this whole process of just caring for our pastors and for their families and for the families in our church. Because we all face, maybe increasingly so in today's age, stress and need for recovery, as you say. So Glenda, great to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
How did you come into this ministry?
Well, interestingly, I came into this ministry out of my own area of recovery. Over 25 years ago now, I struggled significantly with depression and anxiety. And after I started my journey with God and really starting to come out of that very dark place, I had such a compassion for other people, not just struggling with depression, but just in other areas. So really a lot of what I have learned and how I have grown, so much of it has come out of my own experience.
So that's like a journey. I mean, we can learn things from books, but you're learning it also from life. You've walked through it. You've seen the Lord take you through this, and you've taken lots of other people through recovery as well and care. So this is a big issue today. Can you just talk a little bit about why it's so hard for pastors to admit that there is something wrong?
Well, Bill, I think that some of that just comes down to with what we think other people's expectations of us are. And sometimes it comes out of our own insecurities where we don't want to disclose something that we're struggling with ourselves because we feel we're the leader. We're the one who's helping others. And so to be able to express that we're struggling with something ourselves, it's really hard. So sometimes we think that's actually helping other people, but it's not helping them, is it? Not at all.
By bottling this up.
Not at all.
By releasing it, we're actually helping people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
And I think that it is appropriate for leaders to disclose some of those issues that they're dealing with. I think it's important to have someone safe that you feel that you can trust, someone in your life that you can open up to, but not always necessarily coming across like, I've got it all together, because none of us do. Right.
Now, I have heard you talk before about statistics and things of that nature, but just run through that a little bit in terms of what we might think of the level of need is within the Christian church in North America and Canada.
Well, I mentioned earlier my own struggle with anxiety and depression. That area itself, some of the recent research that's come out from Focus on the Family and Barna would suggest that 70% of pastoral leaders struggle with depression. And that it's twice as likely that they will struggle with it more than the average person. And I think that some of that does come down to exactly what you're saying, that sometimes we keep things bottled up inside.
Because of expectations.
That's right.
Yeah. But also it must have something to do with finding that safe place. We may not have a safe place. Give us some insights. Not very many churches are large enough to hire someone to do this, but there's lots of help out there. But give us some 1, 2, 3, 4 steps on if we are struggling today, what should we be doing? What could we be doing?
Well, Bill, I think one of the most important things is to be honest about whatever the issue is. It might be a marital issue. someone might be struggling with some kind of an addiction, using unhealthy ways to cope with pain. There's all sorts of things. But I think just being honest with it, coming out of that denial with yourself and with God. And it may be finding someone within your own leadership at your own church. It might be another pastor. You know, a lot of people are well connected with ministerials in the area, and you might just have a really solid connection with another pastor. That could be a really significant first step, just going to talk to somebody that you feel that you can trust.
Yeah. I mean, we'd all like to think that our pastors feel the AGC is a safe place, but we do want to send that message out that we do want to help, and it is a safe place, and we do have people who are willing to listen, and so we want to encourage that. But what about people outside of the AGC and outside of the church? Would you do any like medical doctors or anything like that? I mean, do you send people that way?
Well, again, it depends what the struggle is, and sometimes it's very appropriate for someone to go to their family doctor and just to have a checkup, depending, again, what kind of issues that they're dealing with. You know, we are made up of body, soul, mind, and spirit.
Exactly.
And one area, no doubt, influences the other area. And so sometimes our physical health is very much compromised when we're under a lot of stress. And when we're dealing with other people's emotional issues and challenges, that can have a huge impact on us. And so having regular physical health checkups is really important. Taking care of your physical body, exercise, nutrition, things like that. It's all part of our self-care.
It's been our privilege today to have Glenda DeVries, and we had such a good time in this interview that it actually went longer than normal. So we are going to interrupt our time today and show you the second half next month. So as we pray this month, let's really be praying for one another. Let's really be praying for those that we might know are already going through difficulties, or just be praying generally that we'll be people who are healthy before God and each other. And let's remember, we're here to help as much as we possibly can. So please, let's stand together in this care for our pastors and for their families. May God bless you as you pray this month.